to feel like we're on the road to WrestleMania now? Yeah.
No. This is the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling.
What the world is watching.
So, at least according to the wrestling community on the internet, this WrestleMania build has been less than stellar. And comparatively speaking, if you look at the build to WrestleMania last year, this WrestleMania build-up this year is far from measuring up. It is what it is. But I want to talk about it, and I want to delve deeper into potentially why that could be. And one of the reasons why I believe that is because last year, Triple H closed the book on a story that we had all been anticipating for a while. We wanted Cody Rhodes to finish his story, and alas, not only did he finish his story, but he incorporated the closing of an era, of the Attitude Era in the WWE. And for the most part, maybe a little of the Ruthless Aggression Era as well. You got John Cena, The Undertaker, The Rock, all showing up to be a part of Cody Rhodes finishing his story. And then on top of that, after Cody Rhodes finished his story, they put his star in the WWE Universe in the sky. There was alumni from the past, the present, all coming into the ring. Friends, colleagues, family, -1, Brody Lee's son, rest in peace, Brody Lee, shows up and is celebrating with Cody Rhodes. Everything that the fans wanted and then some, they got at the conclusion of WrestleMania 40. Now for 41, WrestleMania 41, fans are like, something's missing. Well, something is missing because now they're writing new stories. Now they're hitting the reset button and building up all over again. And so it's not measuring up for a lot of fans. So I want to take a look at this. And far be it from me to bring a little tribalism into this conversation, but strap in because I'm about to bring a little tribalism into this. Could it be that the reason why the WWE is not giving us that excitement feeling that we want, and sure enough, people want wrestling to break into their lives and rob them of their attention, just take their attention completely away and be super enamored and excited about what is to come. The reason why may not be what you think it is. Maybe it's because the WWE has nothing to lose. There is a lull in their competition as far as momentum and attention goes. AEW still puts on great pay-per-views. Their television program, however, is still trying to catch up to build its unique image. What is AEW Dynamite? What is AEW Collision? And I firmly believe that AEW is still looking for that, is still trying to figure out what Dynamite is and what Collision is. And in trying to find their image, their personality for those television shows, the threading of those shows into the pay-per-view is not really bridging correctly. It's not really hitting that mark. And because of that, the fans are starting to lose interest. Their television program is dropping in viewership. And then there are some loyal fans that are admittedly saying it's just not what I once thought it could be. And the AEW is doing a job in building that momentum back up. They are doing a good job. This video is not about AEW, and it certainly isn't about AEW versus the WWE, but I thought it was an interesting premise to go off of the idea that WWE having nothing to lose puts them in a position to where they can test different paths for their stars and storylines because they do not feel that the competition is giving them a reason to pull the trigger. So they can go different paths and it doesn't work if it doesn't work, then they can always find a way back to what originally we all wanted. They can pivot, essentially. So by going, you know what? Fuck it. Let's put Jey Uso in a title match at WrestleMania. People were up in awe because they were like, Jey Uso and Gunther is not a main event for WrestleMania, albeit last year at WrestleMania, the WrestleMania had world title matches, both world title matches on night 2. There was Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre beat Seth Rollins, and then Damian Priest cashed in. That was, if I'm not off the top of my head, I think it was like the opening match or something like that, or very close to it. It's like the second or third match on the card. It was certainly not the main event. So Jey Uso and Gunther as a main event at WrestleMania, I don't know if that was ever really in question. And I think one of the reasons why they thought it was more than likely is based on the fact that Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. But they can throw that out of the window there. I mean, this is one of the things that the WWE does in building and taking these risks. They typically do that when they don't feel the pressure of having to conform to what the crowd wants, what the fans want, because business is on an upward trajectory, their momentum is up, and also because there's no competition pulling and tugging on their strings, taking one of their top stars away and really taking the momentum. Now, if the AEW still had Cody Rhodes, still had CM Punk, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were still crushing it at the top of the card, I firmly believe that the WWE WrestleMania card would probably look a lot different than it is right now. But because they have an embarrassment of riches, so many stars, so many things to build up, so many different directions they can go down, that the creative meetings must be intense, where they can say, you know, we can go this direction, which is where everybody is predicting we go, or we can go here. And that's the unknown. That is what people are not expecting. That is the Kansas City Shuffle. So with John Cena coming out and saying, like, you guys wanted me to come out in a suit with new music and a new attitude, but I'm not going to give you that. It is essentially the WWE turning, art imitating life in a sense, and doing a very similar thing, which is like, I'm not going to give you guys what you want this year because I did it last year and finished the story for Cody Rhodes. So now we have a situation where every time we try to predict where something is going, they can say, Fafo, fuck around and find out, because we're not going to give you what you want. We're going to turn this thing upside down and do something completely different. And that's what you see with the Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Bianca Belair story that they're building up. The same with who shot Jade Cargill, essentially, quote unquote, who shot Jade, which is basically who attacked Jade Cargill. We all expected it to be Liv or Raquel, and then it turned into Bianca Belair. And then there were some reports that people thought it was going to be Rhea Ripley, and they said, nah, we're going to give you Naomi, but we're not going to give you Naomi the way that you think we're going to give you Naomi. We're going to give you Naomi in a sense to where maybe she was justified in turning on Jade Cargill, and then flood the internet with some reports of Jade being a little weird behind the scenes. The same with the John Cena Cody Rhodes program, where we all had this idea once John Cena turned heel that it was going to be this thing, and it's got to be in this direction because it's going in that direction. He comes out to his same old music, wearing the t-shirts, still promoting his final tour, and basically saying, like, I'm not going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you something different. CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, we all have this vision of where we think that they're going to go, and they're seemingly turning the tide and going in a different direction. Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, going in a different direction. Rey Fenix, his debut is on the horizon. We have this idea, he's going to team with Penta and some members of the LWO, and they'll go after the New Day and Chad Gable, El Grande Americano. I'm a Venti fan, but the El Grande Americano. There's so many different things that we are starting to predict, and the WWE is listening and they're watching and they're going, well, look, we've got the leeway, we've got the time. Let's turn this ship around and go in a different direction and try something new. And they've got the time, they've got the opportunity to play around and do it, and they have so many options in their back pocket that they're probably looking like, well, why not? So it's an interesting, premise that I've come up with here, because the WWE's WrestleMania is more than likely going to deliver, but it's how they're getting there that is troubling to a lot of fans. People are wondering, when is it going to start getting exciting? When am I going to be on the edge of my seat like, oh shit, I can't wait to see how this is going to play out? Gunther and Jey Uso's build up to a certain point has not been the best, because they've incorporated Otis and Tozawa and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller in a world title program where we just feel like those are the curtain jerkers. Those are the opening match guys, and they're putting them in this program. But what the story that they're telling is that Jey Uso doesn't belong in the main event, that his moniker, Mr. Main Event, is not worthy. And so we're seeing this buildup from essentially an outcast, a quote unquote loser, going against an elitist in Gunther. It's essentially the same story that they were trying to tell with Triple H and Booker T without the racial epithets, where it's without going hardcore racism in there, right? Like, or prejudice or whatever. They're trying to tell the story of Jey Uso doing something that everybody is starting to second guess whether he can do it. And then this past Monday on WWE Raw, we actually saw a tiny bit of a teaser of the story turning into a little bit of a Bloodsport homage. And if anybody remembers the Jean-Claude Van Damme 1980s Bloodsport movie, it's Frank Deux, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, and his best friend, his brother Ray, getting into this underground fighting, and Chun-Li, not Chung-Li from Street Fighter, but Chun-Li comes out, and he's this ultimate badass. He beats Ray down and takes his headband and starts wearing it on his leg as a badge of honor that I destroyed your friend. So Frank Deux builds himself up in this underground street fighting tournament to eventually dethrone the man that beat his best friend up. And it seems like we're getting that. Gunther is going to beat the piss out of Jimmy Uso so bad that it is going to force Jey Uso to get super serious, shake the nervous energy, shake the cobwebs, and win that world title. And that's what they're building up to. The ultimate underdog story is what we're getting there. Also, a lot of people are talking about the build-up with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and so people on the side of Tiffany Stratton are wondering why they're feeding her these lines that are basically putting her in an inferior position against someone like Charlotte Flair and propping Charlotte Flair up to be bigger than theirs. The story is Tiffany Stratton, as the underdog, able to conquer the queen and Charlotte Flair? And I'll be honest with you, this story would work better if Tiffany Stratton didn't have the character that she has, which is basically a 2.0 of Charlotte Flair, but more along the lines of a Valley Girl version of Charlotte Flair. She is the best. She's super talented and almost a little ditzy, and I think what is going on now is that the WWE has this ID program, they have LFG, they have Evolve, they have these programs that are going to fast track these wrestlers from the independents, from other sports, and bring them to prominence in the WWE, fast track them through all of the hoopla, all of the, working from the bottom and getting to the top, getting in a situation where you have an opportunity to be a star faster than you've ever imagined by being trained, cultivated, and honed to that position. And who better than a spokesperson than a Tiffany Stratton, who is hoisted above as a WrestleMania main event type of an athlete after coming in through the LIG pro or the NIL program. You know, this is something that they can show up and coming stars that they can achieve things like a Tiffany Stratton. And so maybe by what they're doing is they're fast tracking Tiffany Stratton to the stars and going, hey, you can be a superstar. You know, who better than a Tiffany Stratton to actually show everybody that this is where you can achieve. You can get to these heights. You can be like Tiffany Stratton. And I think what they're trying to do is they're testing her out to see if she is ready for that top spot, if she is ready for the spotlight. And I'm going to be honest, a couple of these interviews that she's been having, these promos that she's been cutting, it seems like to me that she's very, very nervous that she might not be ready for the spotlight. And having a dance partner in a Charlotte Flair who's coming off of a big injury, who is trying to get her fast track to the top so she can beat her dad's record, so she could potentially even beat John Cena's potential record-breaking championship victory, or at least tie. She's got her own motivation, and with Tiffany Stratton, it seems like the nerves might be getting to her, and WWE might be just testing her out to see if she's capable of shining and following through on that spotlight, which is why you might be seeing this program built the way that it is being built. And the WWE, as I'm saying before, they have this leeway, they have this opportunity to kind of stand back a little bit, test some things out, see what they have in front of them, see if the talent that they have is capable, the young talent that they have is capable, try some new things out, try some new angles, try some new feuds, some new storylines. They have the leeway right now. They're not on the precipice of losing big ratings from AEW. They're not about to lose any of their top stars. They've got the momentum, so they can try these things. They can take these risks. So that is one of the things that you're seeing with Charlotte and with Tiffany, is just they're testing it out to see what they can do. I think at the end of WrestleMania, I think usually you hear a lot of people talk about the WrestleMania hangover. I think what they're setting up for, that people don't understand. They're not seeing far down the line here. Triple H, Paul Levesque, he likes to plan things out far ahead of time. Look at SummerSlam. This is going to be the first ever SummerSlam that is 2 nights. 2 nights in a row, night 1, night 2 for SummerSlam. It's huge, and it is going to be huge. And I think what they're doing is they're gonna build that SummerSlam card up. They're gonna make that a super card. They want to show everybody for the first 2 nights SummerSlam that they're gonna blow it away. They want it as the summer version of WrestleMania. So I think that whatever happens at WrestleMania 41, because they did the whole pageantry with the Cody Rhodes finishing the story and you know, all the heroes basically winning. Bayley won last year. You know, they finished on a high note. You know, all the heroes basically won last year. So this year they can toy with us. They can have some heels pick up victories, and they don't have to have the super card. So then everybody, once they figure out after WrestleMania is over, they're going to start to see the build towards SummerSlam, and they're going to go, aha. And that's when the WWE is probably going to reel a lot more people back in and get them excited. That's what I feel like the overall plan is going to be, because that is what we're looking forward to. The very first ever 2-night SummerSlam, and it's right around the corner, right after SummerSlam. SummerSlam's are right after WrestleMania, rather. WrestleMania is happening a lot later in the calendar year than usual, about 2 weeks longer than it was in previous years. And I think the overall goal is to probably push it to May at some point. So they're building towards WrestleMania a different way, and they're testing what they got. I think they've got the leeway to do it. Honestly, I think that's what we're seeing. With CM Punk and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, it is essentially going to main event WrestleMania Night 1. They have been building this moment up for CM Punk to get his WrestleMania main event, and it looks like we're going to get it. A lot of people have wondered if that is a little lackluster, but if you're looking at the way that it's being built up, He has been teasing it for a long time. The only reason that fans are like a little weirded out by this is that we've been teased that it's going to be CM Punk in a main event for a world title, specifically Cody Rhodes' world title. And when we didn't get that, we wondered if maybe we should wait until the following year so that CM Punk can get into the main event and challenge for the world championship or even defend a world championship. And so now that we're getting it kind of, thrown together in this triple threat match, which I believe has a lot of buildup, but a lot of people are wondering about the buildup. But I'll save that for another video. That people are wondering if it's kind of lackluster and kind of anticlimactic. But if you see the build, this is something that this build essentially sets up for why this is warranted as a WrestleMania main event, especially for a night one. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, their history, their lore is over a decade old. If you really, really go back far enough, you can thread it all together and it makes sense. And they have been building for over a year. CM Punk and Seth Rollins, huge rivalry that they've had, their blood feud that they've had essentially. And then you have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And then for a little bit there, especially teased at the War Games and Survivor Series, Roman Reigns and CM Punk have been at odds, mostly due to their affiliation and loyalty for the wise man Paul Heyman. So there is a story there, and I think that the fans are just waiting for it to all get tied in. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, he has proven time and time again that the moment that you start to discredit, the moment that you start to get angry, the moment that you start to get a little impatient, that's when he really hits you with the hotness. So you just got to give him some time. And we still have 2 weeks remaining, just under 3 weeks remaining from WrestleMania. And I believe in those 2 weeks, it'll be tied on together. But that's just the optimist that I am. I think it's going to work out. But I'm interested in what you guys think about this idea that I'm pushing out, about whether the competition or lack thereof is playing a factor in why the WWE is taking these risks and doing something different with their build-up this year and trying new things out. You guys let me know what you think about that in the comments. Thumbs up on the way out, you guys. Thank you for checking this video out, and thank you for continuously supporting the Wrestling Old Head in the portal of pro wrestling. And as always, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you next time.